Hey everyone. I wanted to get some thoughts and feelings out um, to everybody just while they're fresh in my mind. Um, there's been a lot of violence um, in the country lately, and it makes me think about a lot of different things in my life and uh, stuff that's happened. I know yesterday there was the news from Wisconsin about Jacob Blake. And, for months out of Portland, what's happening in the streets. Um, I've got friends who live in both cities, and they tell me about, what's going on, on the ground, and it's some scary stuff. Um, but I wanted to just share with you uh, my thoughts on violence and my experience with that um, specific issue. I know it's not a very easy topic to talk about. Um, I was raised in a pretty big family, and I had an older brother. And when we were kids, we would fight a lot, as as brothers do. Um, and he was older than me, so I got beat up a bit. But we grew up, and we figured out that that wasn't the best way to settle our arguments. Um, but I also have a younger sister, and you know, as a child, you don't understand the bigger implications of what you're doing. So when I was very young, I tried to, um, fight with her the way I fought with my older brother, and my family immediately put a stop to that and explained to me, you don't hit girls. That was a very steadfast rule in my household, and um, it was a rule you never broke ever. So I had to develop a very different relationship with my sister, and I think that was a good thing. The scuffles I would get into with my brother were very different, um, but eventually we all grew up, and we all figured out how to talk to each other and communicate. But that idea, boys don't hit girls, boys should never hit girls, men should never hit women, was ingrained into me at a very young age, and it was a driving principle in my life. And we all know to this day society um, absolutely frowns on any men who lay a hand on women. It's the sign of a coward. It's the sign of a weak man to do so. And so, I lived that truth, and um, in polite society, there's never a reason to ever have to come across uh, that instance or that um, possibility. But what I failed to learn until very recently, and this was tough, what I didn't understand was that women who hit men are also doing something wrong. Now, it's not the same power dynamic or kind of violence that is historically perpetuated from men onto women. I understand that, and it's not in any way to take away from the very real situation of, the way a lot of men abuse their significant others every day in this world, and uh, how we need to create a society where that needs to end, and where these women are protected and have a place to go when they flee these horribly abusive relationships. But in my life, what I've experienced um, is abuse. It's tough to talk about, when for so long having a relationship with somebody who hits you and scratches you, throws things at you, destroys your personal possessions, you know, trashes your private property and things you cherish, under the argument of being upset or punishment, or, you know, the only way to communicate. Um, for a long time, I thought, well, that's just the way it is. That's how some women, um, explain themselves, or express their emotions to their male partners. And, I'm a guy. I can take a hit. It didn't phase me, but it did a lot of internal damage. Um, it put me in a position of having to love somebody for many years who, you know, if I stepped out of line, or said the wrong thing, or did the wrong thing, or made a mistake, there's a chance I could get abused for it. And coming out of that, just a few years ago, even, was a big revelation for me. Um, I didn't actually, I didn't actually come to grips with being a survivor of domestic abuse until it happened in public. Um, for many years, it was behind closed doors. It was, while my son was asleep in the other room. Um, but a couple years ago, it was in public, and uh, I'll never forget the look of the bystanders, the passerby who saw everything that happened, um, getting, punched uh, in the face. Is not um, It's not easy to witness, I would imagine. And, you know, I turned around and saw this person just walking across the street with just shock on their face, a look of horror. And that person called 911. Um, the police came and arrested my abuser. And that's when it was very real for me. It became public knowledge. It became a criminal case in the courts, and it was the first time that I had to state it out loud and give a police report and talk about all the things that had happened. And I think the worst thing for me was it happened in front of my son. he to this day still talks about it. He describes it um, as the day mommy double punched daddy, and it's such a odd memory to have and to share with him. And I don't know if it'll ever go away. I don't know what it's done to his understanding of my relationship with his mother. And um, I just hope that, talking about it, talking to him about it, talking to you guys about it, uh, makes it easier and makes it more understanding. Uh, the violence that people deal with every day is it's very real to them, even if they can't talk about it, even if they don't have the words or even the understanding to know that it's happening. Um, so I hope that if it ever happens to you, if you ever see it happen to somebody else, if you have any inkling that it might be happening, um, the warning signs, the clues, that you can be open and honest and talk about it, talk to your friends about it. You can talk to me about it. I'm here. Um, if you're watching this, you know how to get a hold of me. So, uh, yeah, I just want to be able to see that change in my friends and my family and society, so that we don't fall silent anymore. Because all of these things happening around the world, all of this violence in this country, is because we just refuse to talk about the uncomfortable issues that plague us, the very real, but for some reason uncomfortable issues that we just refuse to talk about. So I hope by me talking about it, it helps at least one other person come forward and talk about it as well. So thank you for listening.